With a variety of local TV programs to choose from, Jamaican TV has come a long way from the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation (JBC), first airing in August of 1963.
And see you next Thursday at the same time for the grand finals of the Jamal JBC quiz.
CAMEO takes a look at our Jamaican TV production industry. Vivacious media personality Denise Hunt is an all-rounder, actor, radio and TV presenter, and producer.
I've traveled all over the world doing plays. I've traveled with Oliver Samuels. I've traveled with David Heron, who I think is just the most wonderful thing since sliced bread. I've toured Europe. I remember touring Europe with a play named Love, Marriage in New York City. That was awesome. Against his will, one of my biggest parts, I played the part of a pregnant woman whose husband was raped, and as a mother, that just flattened me. That was a big part for me. I've done TV, plays on radio with Ed Wallace, radio drama. Wow, I've done quite a bit. You name it, I've done it. When I made the decision to lock my hair, I was advised not to do it. Nobody not gonna get no work. Come say you're black, you're on TV, you don't have the liquor work on TV already, and you're black and so. Let me tell you the challenges that existed for me. First of all, people couldn't figure out if I was a downtown girl trying to act uptown or I was an uptown girl trying to act downtown, right? For the record, I'm a downtown girl who's a downtown girl. So that was one kind of challenge where, you know, your audience and your fans, your viewers, whoever, tried to box you in a thing, and they wanted you to be who they wanted you to be. The other thing was my look. I'm a dark-skinned girl on TV. That was an issue, and so I fell into the trap initially of, oh, you know, the weaves and the flowing straight hair, and I'm like, this is not me. It started to affect me, you know what I mean? I wanted to have natural hair, and everybody's like, but if you have natural hair, you won't get the jobs on TV, you won't get the commercials, and I'm like, no, I'm going. And then I decided to lock my hair, and everybody's like, okay, you're done. I should not want to be a lighter Denise Hunt. I should not want to be a less black woman. I should not want to be any of those things because I am so fearfully and wonderfully made. Exactly. I am with my black skin. I have no issues with who I am, what I look like, what my talent can give, you know. But in the beginning, they did affect me. People would call and, you know, they'd call into a particular program I'd been doing and they'd say the most awful, mean things, and, you know, I don't think they do realize that when they say awful things to you, it hurts. You know what I mean? So I had those challenges that I had to deal with. Never paid them no mind eventually, but deal with it. I think people are relying on a physical look, or people are relying on, okay, so I have a talent, or maybe I like to do it. I think it's something interesting to do. I want to be in front of a camera. But they're not investing in training. They're not either finding somebody who can help them to develop, or finding a class or do a little certificate course or something. Some other challenges I see is with investment. I don't know if companies are taking the plunge to say, all right, I'm going to invest in the best equipment. I'm going to invest even in the cameraman, the sound man, the videographer, all the technical people. I'm going to invest in them so that my product can look good. I don't believe enough of that is being done. And so therefore, when you have one company, for instance, that sets the bar kind of high, they're super expensive. And then so you have, you know, this little hustling mentality that is going on because the technical guys are working for 3 different people just to make ends meet, kind of a thing. There's also the issue of remuneration. You know, people would say things like, oh, Denise is too expensive, or who do you think you are that you can charge this amount or whatever. Well, I've spent some time investing in my craft, and so if you want me to represent a product or represent a thing or a place or whatever, then it's a partnership that I want to form. I don't want to be your employee. I want to form a partnership with you so this product can look good. Employers and people who write the checks have to insist that they have the best working for them. And sometimes it may be up to the person who is developing a cable station or a radio show or whatever it is, to say, all right, I see something in this talent, whether the talent is presenter or technical person, I am going to invest, or I'm going to say to the talent, listen, I want you to do something to invest in yourself and to make yourself look better for my product, and here's the help I can give to you. Right? Because if we don't keep training and we just keep accepting, oh, I have a nice voice, I have a nice look, oh, I can manage the most fancy equipment, or, you know, my camera angles are the greatest thing, and I don't do nothing to keep myself relevant, then what's the point? It's never and will never be about the money, not for me. I had an itch from a very early age, and it needed to be scratched, and I was like, if I don't do something with this energy, I'm just gonna combust, right? In Jamaica, it's not, which is so unfortunate, because when you go to the States, they shell out, they pay. Why? Because they believe that the talent, and when I say talent, I'm talking in front of the camera and behind the camera, the talent makes the product. So they pay, and they pay on time. If I do good and you do good, we all look good. And the rest of the Caribbean is drooling over what Jamaica is doing, because they're like, oh my goodness, Jamaica put out this product and the rest of the Caribbean want to copy it. Why? Because we look good, we sound good, and everything is packaged nicely. But guess what? The Jamaicans are not getting paid. The Trinidadians are getting paid. Oh my goodness, the Bajans are getting paid. Why the Jamaicans not getting paid? You think the money not here? The money is here. Pay the talent. The opportunities are coming, you know. It's not as bad as back in the day, when, you know, you have the same two little programs and you had 15 presenters, or you had a tiny pool of camera guys, sound guys, videographers, editors. I think people are paying attention. You know what I mean? People are paying attention to say, all right, you know, slowly we're getting there. We are, you know, companies like yours, they are investing in the equipment. The pace is not as brisk as it should be, but money is an issue, right? But it's coming. I have hope. It's coming. In Jamaica, we tend to think of the creative industry as something on the side. So we're not investing in it, and the people who want it are not willing to pay for it because it's seen as a hustle. This is my life, you know. This is my job. But I believe in my heart that I was born, I was gifted by God Almighty with a talent. And if I never use it, I'd be committing a sin against God. This is a job. And the creative industry, the people within the industry need to step up and say, listen, this is what I'm worth. I am not going to accept $10 when I have spent $2,000 on all this equipment and bring it in and pay how much duty upon it and all this kind of thing. Need to get some concessions going from government to say, okay, you're bringing in equipment that has to do with this job, that's being filmed in this country or whatever it is in this country, and to make the country look good, you get a tax break. You see what I'm saying? We have to start look at it like it's worth something.
Coming up next. Sharon Schroeter, producer of popular local TV programs like Intense and Digital Rising Stars, spoke to us about the challenges of her industry.
When I started in 2001, I used to produce Smile Jamaica, which is a morning show on TVJ. Then I moved into working with Anthony Miller for ER. So I used to present a little for that one and help him be like an assistant producer. Then I did Hype Zone, which was an entertainment show. Then came my baby, which is Digital Rising Stars. And I've worked on that from 2004, when it started. So, yes, wow. So I've been doing this for a while. I do Intense as well. I produce that. I am the line producer for The Contender and for Magnum Kings and Queens of Dancehall. I have a kids show called Mini Matters. I produce the YVAs, which is the Youth View Awards.
It's one of the premier shows right now that Jamaica has.
I love the excitement of it. I love the fact that you never know what's going to happen. And I like that pressure. So I think if I was to say I specialize in anything, it would be live. One main challenge is always budget. Always, you know. The more money you have, the more you can do. And that's always a challenge. Another challenge that I have personally is when you do get the budget, you have sponsors. And sponsors always want their names everywhere. And I have an issue with that. I think that if you can find a creative way to do that, then yes. But a lot of companies, you know, they want everybody must see their feather banner or bunting, which I hate. But that's another challenge, just working with the sponsor to kind of come up with something that will look good, not only for your show, you know, but for them as well, and something that is creative, something that is outside of the box, because that's important. You know, you don't always have to stick to the same thing all the time, just, you know, something different. You know, in productions, there's always going to be problems. You're always going to have crew that's late. You know, that is another issue. You have to know what to do and how to deal with it. I think for me, I'm a very easygoing, my personality is very easygoing. So while I do work a lot under stressful situations, you will never hear me curse. You will never hear me shout. You'll never, nothing like that. I don't do that, because I think that if you do that, you get everyone else around you in that, you know, getting that same feeling, and I don't want that because it affects the job at the end of the day. Yes, crew is a challenge sometimes, but it's something that you live to, you can work with. You know, I have a feeling that a lot of people think that what we do is easy. That we just come, we turn up, we point a camera at you, and we're good to go. You know, not a lot of people know the intricacies and the importance of what we do and how it makes them look. At the end of the day, it boils down to money and training. If more money was pumped into training, you know, a lot of people in the industry, and getting us good equipment to work with and sending us off on courses, you know, to learn so that we can work anywhere in the world, you know, not only here. That is something that they need to focus more on. There are a lot of people out there who are in this industry, but I don't think that they have the passion that others do. So it's a hurry come up production with some of them. And at the end of the day, it makes everybody else look bad, you know. So I think if we regulate it, and if there's, you know, that there's one body who you go to who you say, all right, if you want a videographer or a presenter, that there's a list of people who you can call on, and these people everybody is certified, and, you know, I think something like that would be important to the industry, you know, so that you don't end up with something that you don't want, and then you figure that, oh, well, this is how everybody in Jamaica is, so you're going to call in somebody from foreign, when there are people here who are just as good as the ones in foreign, or even better.
Welcome, my Mini Matters friends.
It's such a huge business. Television production is a huge industry, and I think that, you know, persons who, take for example, who are at Karamak or, you know, at NCU, they need to get more hands-on experience, so that when they come out, you know, they have an idea, they know before what it is that they're interested in, because there's so many different aspects of production. But there are lots of opportunities. I just think that not a lot of people are given the opportunities, and there isn't enough space, you know, for these persons who want opportunities. But there's so many different avenues. I mean, I think you have to be willing to. It boils back down to passion. I have a major passion for what I do, and if I want to make myself better, then I'm going to learn every avenue of production, and I'm going to follow behind people. Even 15 years in this industry, there's still things that I don't know, and so I'm going to ask questions. And I think, you know, it's important for people who want this opportunity to come in, ask questions. Don't be afraid. Don't link up with someone at the end of the day is who you know. to make it easier to get into the business. If the system was regulated, it wouldn't be as difficult. But it's who you know. Come in and ask questions, and if you're somebody who can be tolerated, then I think you never know what can happen. One of my main reasons for getting into TV was because I want to make a change, I want to make a difference. And I was seeing a lot of things on TV that I didn't like, and not things that I'd want my kids to sit down and watch, which is why I started a kids show, so that it's something that my kids and everybody else's kids can sit down and watch and enjoy and learn from. So anything that I do has to make sense and has to be something that is going to effect change, whether it be in one person, in two, or the entire country. It's something I just want to make a difference in TV. So that is something that I'm always going to be doing once I'm in this industry, is trying to make a change and trying to make a difference in someone's life, through TV.
Coming up next.
Run it.
CEO of Phase 3 Productions, Delano Forbes has worked across the Caribbean producing live multi-camera sports and entertainment events, among other TV-related programs.
Phase 3 is a television, film, and multimedia production company. Pretty much we provide the TV stations, media companies with all kinds of creative and technical resources and infrastructure. On the film side, quote unquote film side, when shoots come into Jamaica, if it means facilitating shoots or even local films, which we don't really have as many local films going on at any given time, but generally we act as a resource, again, helping to book crews, book equipment, pretty much any kind of service from a pin to an anchor. If somebody just needs something very small, or they'll call us and say, hey, we have a large production and we need all these services. On the multimedia side, Phase 3 is very involved in events. So a number of events that we work at, whether it's a Sumfest or a jazz festival or a Shaggy at Friends, Phase 3 is well known for providing big screens at events, as well as corporate AV events, annual general meetings, awards ceremonies, sales seminars, that kind of thing. We provide a lot of AV from the big screens to the cameras, a wide range of services for the event space. I don't really like to focus on the negatives per se, because for every challenge there's something good can come out of it. But I think most people would probably say some of the challenges which is evolving is off the bat there were at one point there weren't that many media outlets. I see that slowly evolving, and as there are more media outlets in Jamaica present themselves, cable stations, TV stations, that kind of thing, you find the market end up being more competitive, and I think that competition somewhat, will improve the production value. And I think once the production values are improved and things start to, the shows, that kind of thing, start to look and be presented a lot better, I think you'll find even the sponsors themselves willing, to contribute more. But in terms of, the budget, the cost related to TVs, I think what most people probably say is going to be a big challenge. Just because we're a small market, Jamaica is 2.5 billion people. And I mean, we have to be, reasonable in terms of when we compare ourselves to some of the bigger markets. And the main reason why, they can go out and do the types of productions that they do, at the level they do is because of the market that they're catering to. So until we can produce shows that have a wider market outside of just Jamaica, or even the region is still relatively small. If you add the region up together, that's going to be a half of a state in the States. So the budgets are often a factor, and that's very tied to just the size of our market and a number of other factors. From a business perspective, I definitely think the government in terms of incentives, and that's not to say that the government can, dole out a check and say here, and there are some things, in train. There was the Film Producers the Film Producers Recognition Act that used to be in place. You have the omnibus and a few other legislative type things that facilitate business. But so that, I think, cutting out the red tape, allowing people, you do find that there are a lot more people coming into the industry. I think training. We are at phase 3. I think we're somewhat known as a training institution for the industry. A lot of persons come here, some having formal training, some not. And I mean, we've had workshops where people are like, wow, in a short period we've learned a lot. You know what I mean? So I do think training, exposure, you do have some organizations now that are involved in training, but a number of them I think need to get more hands-on and integrate with the real world. Every year phase 3 we take on about 20 or so interns over the course of the summer, and I can tell you some of them work here today, not right here, but one of them is shooting the ball ones right now. Phase 3 will operate, as I kind of explained, we operate on many different levels. So at any given time, we're we work on a lot of live shows and live sporting events. So we produce the World Cup qualifiers, we produce a number of games for CONCACAF when the needs for the international broadcast, as well as a lot of the local productions that we're a part of. And we support a lot of production companies. I don't think a lot of people necessarily realize that often our role is facilitating even what many people view as our competitors. It's not unusual for a lot of, a Storm or a Casa or J. Will or all of those production persons, they call on us for whatever resources. Could be something very small, it could be something big. So we often, our role is often to support the industry, and we're hoping from the different areas that we work in, from the TV broadcast side, which as explained I think is growing, to the film production, which hasn't been growing as much, but you do have a lot of shoots, reality shows. Thank you, Mr. Bolt. A lot of productions come to Jamaica because of Usain Bolt. Or music, the music industry, a lot of documentaries, a lot of activity in that space. And then, events, we're very involved with events. There are more and more events and events. Any promoter needs a big screen. So a lot more TV being produced. So you have new people coming into the industry, and they can come into the industry if they see an opportunity, if they see a future where they can earn, a living for themselves and their family. Certainly you'll see more and more people looking into this space and being interested in it because they can see it as a real, career. Whereas before, I think to some extent, people probably don't look at this type of business and think it can be a business or it can be serious, Even in our 30 plus years of being, in business, it started as a hobby. Most people are like, click a camera thing, whatever, that's not a real career. But certainly, I think, there are many people in the industry have made careers out of it and, been able to do, I think, reasonably well. Everybody obviously thinks could always be better. I think most people would say that, but I think we're in an era where TV is growing in Jamaica, and a lot of that has to do with the media outlets. There are more local channels. I mean, Business Access TV, for example. 15 years ago, you couldn't dream of having a Business Access TV. And there are many other cable platforms, cable stations coming on stream. So all of those platforms need to have content that has to be made by somebody. So once those platforms are up, the people making it currently and do well, you know, they can somewhat be at a bit more of a premium, if you want to call it that. And B, you'll have other people coming in and saying, wow, I can actually make a career out of this. This is something that I want to do.
And that's it this week for Cameo. Even in the midst of challenges, our creative industries continue to shine. I've been your host, Amita Prasad Webb.